right, we are now joined by the pole sitter for the NASCAR All-Star Race, as well as Heat Race 1. That's Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 6 RFK Racing Ford. If you have a question for Brad, please raise your hand, and we'll get a mic to you. We'll start right here with Reed, and we'll work our way around.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. Congratulations. First of all, is this a momentum builder given the bad luck that you've had so far this year? Second of all, it appeared from the ghost car that entry and exit of pit road were critical in terms of your lap, in terms of being able to win the pole. Did you feel that way?
It doesn't hurt, Reed. Being on a pole, it feels really good, especially to win the pole by that much. It's just total team effort. I mean, this event, this format, just pushes you to your limits from a driver perspective, team perspective, pit crew, and I stuck my part. I mean, it felt really good. I knew I stuck the entry. I was like, oh, that's gonna be good if it's not a speeding penalty. And then the exit, I was like, man, maybe I left a little on the table. It was really hard to tell, but it all came together for just an excellent run. The pit crew, they didn't try to be heroes. They just gave me a really solid stop, and Jeremy Bolins and the team gave me a car that was pretty fast, and just like I said, they just gave me the ball and said, go play, and that's what we did.
We'll go to Steven and then to Matt.
Thanks, Reed.
Steven Toronto, CBS Sports. Brad, you guys have dubbed your car for this weekend the Pirate Ship, and obviously ECU, apparently a lot of Salmon Plumbing employees are ECU grads. Danny,
my wife. My wife is ECU grad.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So, and obviously its founder was also a East Carolina grad. So, given that, how much does it add to be able to go to everyone and say this car's on the pole?
Yeah, that's super cool. We're on the other side of the Carolinas, but still, there's a lot of ECU fans out there, and it's good to be able to recognize them. Really good for Salmon Plumbing. I feel so bad for them. Danny Alora, the founder there, passed away a couple of weeks ago, and it just was a real shock. And this is the first time they've been on our car since that happened. Their whole family's planning to be here, so it's really cool to give them something to be joyful about.
Right. It's really cool. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Matt Weaver, The Sporting News. One, how challenging has it been for you this whole season to kind of weather this stretch, this storm, and how important is it just to put any kind of figurative or moral points on the board today?
I mean, I'm not going to say it's been easy for me to weather the storm over the last few months, but I mean, it's part of the juice is going through the struggles, because it makes you appreciate the good times. And yeah, we've had some struggles, but there's a lot to be optimistic about. I knew it wasn't going to be a walk in the park when we started this year with all the changes we had. I didn't expect it to be as big of a struggle as it has been. But that said, I see a lot of pieces that are coming together, and this obviously demonstrates that. But even beyond today, I feel a lot of pieces that are coming together and bode well for us, and being able to make a really strong run here from here on out for the 2025 season. So I'm not losing my cool. I'm putting ourselves in position, and our team's putting ourselves in position to grow and hopefully go out and win races. And we're going to have a shot to win this race come Sunday.
Yeah, to that point, the track's getting grayer. It's starting to wide out a little bit, but it's still a next-gen short track race, track position being important. How vital is winning the heat, being able to start up front, and hopefully have that track position all race?
Yeah, I mean, we saw that last year. I think Joey Logano led almost every – did he lead every lap? All but one. I don't know what lap that was, but must have been the – was it a restart? Sure it wasn't when after he pitted, but – this race really lends itself to track position for a number of reasons, particularly because the field size is so small, and the way the race runs out, the leader generally does not catch the back of the field. So that puts a premium on being the leader, that doesn't necessarily ever have a chance to wash back out. So starting on the pole here, among many other races, but here specifically is a significant advantage. No problem.
We'll go to Jordan and then Dustin.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. When you look at North Wilkesboro Speedway now in its third year, what would you like to see from this track going forward? Is it continuing to be host of the All-Star race? Would you like to see a points race here? What would you like to see?
I mean, I think this needs to be a points race track. I'd like to see the All-Star race most likely return to Charlotte. That's my only personal opinion. I think the Charlotte racetrack, particularly since it only has one race on the oval, I think that's a miss for our sport. It's a great racetrack, puts on some of the best racing. So it would make sense to me if we were to revert back to that and make this a season race and probably get rid of a race like the Roval or something like that. No problem.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. So since you mentioned it, why would you, I understand adding a second race there, but why get rid of the Roval? It's had created some of its moments over the years.
Has it? Really?
I
I look at the stands, and there's more stands come to the oval race than they do in the and better ratings too than come to the oval races. I thought that's what we judge the sport by.
Fair enough. You don't let the highs get too high, the lows get too low. So how significant is something like tonight based off of everything that's happened this season?
Sorry if I was a jerk, Dustin. I'm very strong about the Roval's got to go. What'd you ask? Sorry.
You don't let the highs get too high, the lows get too low in sports. So a moment like today, with some of the garbage you've gone through the last few weeks, the misfortune, I should say, how significant is a bright spot?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've had other bright spots, Dustin.
Yeah.
This one is one that's tangible. It's visible outside of our own team circle. But those, they build up, right? They build momentum. They build positivity inside the group that manifests itself in a higher level of teamwork and craftsmanship just naturally. I think the team is a pretty resilient group, but I don't care who you are as a team. We all need some positive reinforcement and encouragement, and there's nothing negative about today.
Also, years ago, you were involved in helping with the format of the All-Star, and I think it was the year with the points or averages for each stage. So you were very involved on it. This year it's a random caution. Is there more that can be done for this race as somebody who's gone through the process, or should this just be a race?
Yeah, I think it's always a great opportunity to do something fun, and so I hate to put borders on it. I just think it should probably be back at Charlotte. No problem.
Okay, we'll go back to Jordan, then we'll go to Scotty.
Jordan Bianchi, Athletic. I know you're probably coming at this question from a little maybe a bias because of recent events. It seems anecdotally like there's been more penalties this year, DQs, that kind of thing. Is that a good thing for the sport and that NASCAR is cracking down and that's good, or is it becoming a thing where this is too much, especially when you compare it to other forms of racing and we need to have more public optics or whatever you want to call it?
I don't have a great answer for that. There's things to like about penalties. There's things not to like. You just want the penalties to make a difference. The whole goal of penalties in general is to create level playing field and manage the competition for the teams so that it's cost effective, and for the fans so that the winner demonstrates some kind of distinguishing level of ability better than someone else, and not out of bounds with respect to things that we don't necessarily value. So it's important to have penalties. It's also very important that those penalties align with those goals. I think for the most part they do, but I'm not close enough to any of the other teams outside of our sphere to always know that.
All right, we'll take one final question from Scotty.
Scotty Sprinkle, Race Face Digital. I'm curious, Brad, this was, pitched to be a Run What You Brung race. With you being co-owner in RFK, what was the communication like, and what were some of the ideas that you and NASCAR discussed? And is there a part of you that, wanted to see it? A lot of drivers were kind of enthusiastic about wanting it. Were you kind of conflicted between an owner wanting to save money and a driver wanting to have an experience like that?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of it being a Run What You Brung. I think that might be a bit oversold. I was aware of, some rules being opened up but I was not aware of any rule being opened up that we thought was significant enough to justify an expenditure. If it was take a plate off an engine or something to that degree, I think that wouldn't have cost us anything, but and would have moved the needle. I think we'd have been generally fairly supportive, but for the most part, it was things that I'm aware of, at least, which, again, I'm limited to that sphere. It was all things that, I'm not entirely confident would have moved the sport forward. So,
All right, Brad, thanks so much for coming in.
thank
Congratulations.
you, guys. Take care.